spoken with, there's something similar there, and that burnout is a part of it, and the employers only just see it as we all experience burnout, so we have to just deal with it. But you're right, there should be programs in place. There needs to be some sort of way to help our companies, so that we can keep people working smoothly. And I'm sure even during that time you saw the impact this was having on families. Do you ever hear anybody sharing there about the impact that was happening at home?
Yeah, I mean, I could see a lot of, at least for the police women, the relationships suffered, like myself as well, being able to have a relationship while you're being abused by male police supervisors, and how that made you feel was, was difficult. And you didn't realize that was affecting you that much until it got worse, unfortunately. And we discussed it in ways that we were all having problems. And that's when I realized, well, there's a root here, and there's a connection between us all, and we're all being sexually harassed by bosses, and we're not able to manage our sacred feminine, and that is what is being degraded about us, is our being, our gender. And so being able to really embody what that means and to stand in that was being harmed. And so the effects of that were far reaching. I know that for men it affected their family life in ways that there was violence in the home. I think for some people there was a lot of drinking and driving. There was a lot of alcoholism. There was a lot of anger, and they would take it out on the community. Unfortunately, people were harmed. And one officer I worked with also, after he had harmed someone in the community, after he left our service, I went to college with him. I worked with him for a bit in Toronto, and I knew that he had an addiction problem. But when he had harmed someone in the community, it was all over the media, and he didn't have a good name for himself in the media after that. And sadly enough, and God rest his soul, he took his life. And I'm sorry to say, but it's a reality of when an environment becomes so toxic, people are not getting the support. Police officers are not getting the support. And, there's a way in which we can help them. And it's really being able to reach them is the biggest thing, because the community, I feel, is their biggest support, in the sense of those inside are really needing help. And it's a gap that I wish to bridge, right? Because police officers need to be healthy, and the community needs to be healthy. And I had gone through an enlightenment stage where I could see the pain within my abusers, and I could understand a lot more about harm than I once knew, and why people hurt people, right? And the saying is, hurt people hurt people. And so they actually needed help, and they needed support, and they likely needed mental health support, and they were engaging in things that were not healthy. And that's when people get harmed. So there's so much there to unpack, but it takes a lot for someone, and I recognize the forgiveness that I have given to the police culture, to those who have harmed me. And my only way forward now is to try my best to help.
So, let me ask you this: your book. Who would you say your book could really? Who's a good candidate for your book?
So for Uncovering the Brave Within, I think it's for all police women. My story, but all these stories within here, there's military women telling their stories. There's just entrepreneurs telling their stories. There's just so many different people, women, and fields, that it's for any women, really. It's for any woman that wants to, soak up what it feels like to stand in your brave. And I think for men too, is to be able to understand what women face, right? And what our challenges are, and how we can better support one another.
Wonderful, wonderful. Well, let me ask you this. We're at the actually at the conclusion of the spotlight. Okay, what would you like to just end here? What would you like to say to the audience for here? Heather?
Well, first of all, I'm going to thank you for having me on, Marlene. You're an amazing person, and I'm really honored to be here with you and to be on your spotlight. I think that the more stories that you're showing on your spotlight, the better off we all are, because they're so heartwarming, and you make it so that everyone can relate to one another, and that for me is really where I'm at. Is we all can relate to one another, and we can all learn from one another, and we can all inspire one another. So thank you so much for the work that you do.
My pleasure. And I wanted to say to you that each and every spotlight, like today, I learned so much, Heather. And being here just talking to you, and it touches me, touches my soul when I listen to each one of you, because it's real. And like you said earlier, and it's relatable. But I just want to thank you again. Thank you so very much for taking out the time and coming and sharing your bravery with us. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Marlene. It's a pleasure.